On December 25, 2021, humanity took its most expensive and ambitious step into the abyss. We launched the James Webb Space Telescope. This is not just a piece of mirror and metal worth $10 billion. It is a time machine. We sent it to the Lagrange point, 1.5 million kilometers from Earth, so that it could look into the past, to a time when the universe was dark and empty, and when the first lights were just beginning to ignite. We waited for answers. We waited for beautiful pictures for desktop wallpapers. We waited for confirmation of our theories that we have been writing in textbooks for the last 100 years. But the universe played a cruel joke on us. Instead of answers, James Webb brought us nightmares. What it saw with its infrared eye boggles the mind. It found galaxies that are too old to exist. It found planets where it rains molten sand. It saw structures that look like giant punctuation marks left by someone in the void. The data coming from the telescope right now forces astrophysicists to nervously rewrite the laws of physics and ask a frightening question. Was the Big Bang really what we imagined? Or is our history of the world a mistake? In this episode, we have compiled a ranking of the 10 most mysterious, frightening, and impossible objects discovered by James Webb. We will go from simply strange phenomena to those that break the very structure of reality. Number 10. Pillars of Creation. We begin our countdown with an object familiar to everyone who has ever been interested in space. It is an icon of astronomy. The Pillars of Creation. In 1995, the Hubble telescope took a picture that shook the world. We saw majestic, dense columns of cold gas and dust, looking like the fingers of a giant hand reaching for the stars. It looked like a temple. It looked monumental and calm. But when James Webb pointed its mirrors at the exact same spot in the Eagle Nebula, the picture changed beyond recognition, and it became frightening. The thing is, Hubble sees in the visible range of light. Dust is opaque to it. We only saw the skin of these pillars. Webb sees in the infrared range. Its gaze penetrates through the dust like an X-ray penetrates through flesh, exposing the bones. And what we saw inside no longer looks like a calm temple. Inside these columns, chaos and violence reign. Webb showed us hundreds of young stars that were previously hidden. In the image, they look like bright red, ominous eyes burning in the fog. These are protostars. They are only a few 100,000 years old. They are fierce, unstable, and hungry. These red dots eject supersonic jets of matter into space, which crash into the surrounding gas and create shock waves. You see not creation, you see a battle. The pillars themselves are slowly being destroyed by the radiation of these young stars. They are evaporating. Webb showed us that the pillars of creation are actually the pillars of destruction. This is a region where gravity and radiation are waging a deadly war. And looking at this ghostly, translucent, reddish landscape, you understand, the cosmos is not static. It boils, explodes, and devours itself, even in such seemingly majestic places. But this is just a pretty picture compared to the hell that Webb found on one distant planet. Number 9. Planet with sand rain. In ninth place, we have an object that completely overturned our ideas about what the weather can be like in other worlds. The James Webb Telescope pointed its spectrometers at the exoplanet WASP 107b, located 200 light-years away from us in the constellation Virgo. From the very beginning, this planet seemed like an anomaly to astronomers. In size, it is almost the same as our Jupiter, but its mass is 10 times less. This makes it one of the puffiest planets known to science. Its density resembles cotton candy or a marshmallow. Because of such low gravity, the planet's atmosphere is inflated to incredible sizes and extends far into space. It was this looseness that allowed the Webb telescope to look deep inside its airy ocean and read its chemical composition as easily as we read a book. And what scientists read there looks like a description of the underworld. The first thing the telescope detected was sulfur dioxide. On Earth, we associate this gas exclusively with volcanic eruptions and the smell of burnt matches. The entire atmosphere of this planet is saturated with the pungent, toxic smell of sulfur. But these were just flowers. Cloud analysis showed something completely insane. We are used to clouds consisting of water vapor. But on WASP 107b, the atmospheric temperature reaches 500 degrees Celsius. Water cannot exist there. The clouds on this planet consist of silicates. Simply put, of sand. Imagine this world. You are standing on the surface, if this gas planet had a surface, and looking at the sky. Above you float dense, yellow-gray clouds of microscopic grains of sand. The wind drives them at breakneck speed, and when these clouds are saturated, rain begins. But this is not refreshing moisture. Scorching drops of liquid sand fall on you from the sky, which, cooling as they fall, turn into hard, sharp shrapnel. This is a world of eternal sandstorm, a world where the air smells of sulfur and burning, and precipitation can strip the skin off bones. WASP 107b shows us that nature has a twisted imagination. We are looking for planets similar to Earth, but the universe most often creates places that look more like torture chambers than a home. Number 8. Wolf-Rayet Star 124. Let's go higher. In 8th place is an object that looks like the most beautiful cosmic flower, but is actually a time bomb that is about to blow everything around it. This is the star Wolf-Rayet 124, located 15,000 light-years from Earth in the constellation Sagitta. Wolf-Rayet stars are some of the rarest, most massive and shortest-lived stars in the universe. If our Sun is a marathon runner who runs its distance for billions of years, then this star is a sprinter who burns itself out without a trace in a negligible time by cosmic standards. In the James Webb image, we see a bright central point surrounded by a halo of glowing purple and pink gas. It looks mesmerizingly beautiful, like a cosmic mandala. But this gas is the flesh of the star itself. Wolf-Rayet 124 is in the stage of death agony. It is so hot and unstable that powerful stellar winds literally tear off the outer layers of the atmosphere from it and throw them into open space. The star is undressing. It is shedding its skin. That halo of gas that we see in the image already exceeds 10 of our suns in mass. Imagine, a star spat out 10 solar systems and continues to lose weight. James Webb showed us not just a beautiful nebula. It showed us the moment 1 second before. Stars of this type do not fade quietly. They end their lives with a grandiose hypernova explosion. This event can happen today, tomorrow, or in 100,000 years. For the cosmos, this is an instant. Looking at this image, we are looking into the barrel of a loaded gun. Right now, the fuel in the core of this star is running out. Gravity is preparing to crush its center, only to then tear the outer shell to shreds. All this beauty, all this complex structure of glowing gas will be destroyed by a single flash that will briefly become brighter than the entire galaxy. Webb captured the last breath of a dying titan, and the realization of this inevitability makes one feel cold. Number 7. Phantom Galaxy. In 7th place is an object that causes an irrational feeling of anxiety in the observer. This is the galaxy Messier 74, better known in astronomical circles as the Phantom Galaxy. Before the launch of James Webb, we considered it one of the most beautiful and photogenic spiral galaxies. The Hubble telescope showed it to us as a glittering disk filled with billions of bright blue and pink stars. It looked like a perfect illustration from a textbook, full of life and light. But when James Webb pointed its mid-infrared instrument at it, the familiar picture disappeared. The starlight went out. Instead of a shining disk, a naked, frightening skeleton of the galaxy appeared before us. Webb sees the heat coming from the dust. And in the new image, Messier 74 looks not like a stellar city, but like a giant, sinister whirlpool or Eye of Sauron hanging in the void. We saw a complex web of gas filaments that twist into a perfect, mathematically verified spiral. This sight frightens with its geometric perfection. In nature, we are used to chaos, to irregularities. But this structure looks as if it were drawn with a compass. Looking into the very center of this vortex, where the exposed core of the galaxy is located, it is difficult to get rid of the feeling that you are looking into a giant tunnel or a drain hole that sucks in reality itself. The absence of familiar stars in the image creates an effect of dead silence. It seems that life has left this place, leaving only cold ruins and dust that continue to rotate by inertia. The phantom galaxy reminds us that the basis of the universe is not light, but hidden structures, an invisible framework that controls everything while remaining in the shadows. It is like an X-ray of a beautiful face, under which a bare skull is hidden. And this skull looks back at us from the constellation Pisces, reminding us that the beauty of space is just a mask worn over the cold mechanics of gravity. Number 6. Cosmic question mark. Sixth place is occupied by an object that became the most discussed space photo on the internet and spawned thousands of crazy theories. This is that rare case when the universe seems to have decided to enter into a direct dialogue with us or simply laugh at us. In 2023, James Webb took a picture of a pair of young stars known as Herbig-Haro 4647. The stars themselves are very interesting, but the attention of the whole world was attracted not by what was in the center of the frame, but by what was hiding in the background, in the deep darkness. At the bottom of the image, against the background of the black abyss, a bright red, perfectly formed question mark clearly shone. This is not Photoshop and not a dead pixel. This is a real, physical object. When this image was published, people started joking that we found the edge of the map in a video game where textures haven't loaded yet, or that the universe is literally asking us, "What did you forget here?" It looked like a glitch in the Matrix, like a message from the simulation developers, but the scientific explanation for this phenomenon turned out to be no less frightening than the mystical one. What we see as a question mark is a moment of cosmic catastrophe frozen in time. The upper arc of the question mark is a giant galaxy being torn apart by gravitational forces. And the dot at the bottom is another, smaller galaxy that crashes into the first at high speed, or flies past, dragging a trail of stars and gas behind it. We are observing the process of a violent merger of two worlds. The red color of the object tells us that this is happening incredibly far away from us, much further than the main stars in the image. Light from this catastrophe traveled to us for billions of years, stretching and turning red. This object frightens with its randomness. What is the probability that out of billions of possible forms of galaxy collisions, we will see exactly the one that, from our angle of view, from our tiny planet, will form a recognizable symbol of our own language? This coincidence seems so incredible that the brain refuses to believe in randomness. It is a reminder that in the infinite chaos of the universe, absolutely anything can happen, even what seems impossible. And sometimes, this chaos adds up to signs that we, in our egocentrism, take personally. Number 5. The galaxy that shouldn't be 5th place in our ranking is occupied by a discovery that caused a real crisis in modern cosmology. This is an object that made scientists clutch their heads and seriously talk about the fact that our standard model of the universe might be wrong. We are talking about a galaxy with the technical name JADES GS Z13-0. James Webb was built as a time machine to look into the era of cosmic dawn, the first hundreds of millions of years after the Big Bang. Astronomers expected to see chaos there. They thought they would see shapeless clouds of gas just beginning to clumsily gather into the first small and dim proto-galaxies. It was supposed to be the time of the universe's infancy. But when the telescope sent data about Galaxy Z13, scientists saw not an infant. They saw an adult, fully formed old man in a cradle. Light from this object traveled to us for 13.5 billion years. We see this galaxy as it was just 320 million years after the birth of the universe. By cosmic standards, this is an instant. At that time, there shouldn't have been anything complex there. But spectral analysis showed that this galaxy is already filled with stars. And the scariest thing, it is filled with dust and heavy metals. In astrophysics, metals are a sign of old age. They are produced by generations of stars. To get as much metal as we see in this galaxy, billions of years of stellar evolution must have passed. Stars must have been born, lived, died, and exploded thousands of times. But the universe at that time simply did not have this time. The timing doesn't add up. This discovery is as if archaeologists dug up a layer with dinosaur bones and found a modern iPhone there with a full charge. It is an impossible object. The existence of this galaxy hints at one of two frightening options. Either the first stars were born and died at some incredible, unthinkable speed, violating the laws of thermodynamics, or the universe is actually much, much older than we think. And the Big Bang Theory, as we know it, is a beautiful fairy tale that just shattered against the mirror of the James Webb Telescope. Number 4. Sign of life. In fourth place is perhaps the most intriguing and at the same time the most controversial find of the telescope. This is the exoplanet K2-18b, located 120 light-years from Earth. This planet belongs to the class of Hycean worlds. These are worlds completely covered by a global ocean, with a dense atmosphere rich in hydrogen. In itself, this sounds interesting, but James Webb, pointing its instruments at this world, sniffed something in its atmosphere that made astrobiologists' hearts skip a beat. Spectral analysis showed the presence of methane and carbon dioxide. This is good, but it could be geology. However, a weak but distinct signal of a molecule called dimethyl sulfide was hiding among the data. For most people, this name means nothing, but for chemists, it is the Holy Grail. The fact is that on Earth, dimethyl sulfide is not produced by geological processes. Volcanoes don't make it, lightning doesn't make it. On our planet, the only source of this substance is life. More precisely, marine phytoplankton. This is a product of bacterial activity. The fact that Webb found this substance in the atmosphere of a water world is the strongest hint of the existence of extraterrestrial life we have ever received. It is no longer just a habitable zone. It is a specific chemical trace of biology. But why is this discovery frightening? Because we are afraid of a mistake. The signal is very weak. It is on the verge of instrument sensitivity. Now, the entire scientific community is frozen in anticipation. NASA is planning new, longer observations to confirm or refute this fact. We are in a state of painful uncertainty. Either we are on the threshold of the greatest discovery in history, and we are not alone in this ocean of stars, or it is a cruel mockery of nature, a coincidence of noises that gives us false hope. If the presence of dimethyl sulfide is confirmed, It will turn our consciousness upside down. It will mean that life is not a unique miracle of Earth, but common mold that starts everywhere. There is water. But if it is a mistake, we will be left alone again in the ringing silence. Number 3. Dark stars. The top 3 opens with a theory that sounds like the script for the craziest sci-fi movie, but which, thanks to the James Webb Telescope, may turn out to be reality. This is a concept capable of turning all astrophysics upside down. We are used to stars being thermonuclear reactors. They burn hydrogen, turning it into helium. This is the basis of life in the universe. But data obtained by Webb from the depths of the early universe hint at the existence of a completely different type of celestial body. Scientists discovered 3 objects that look like distant red galaxies, but their spectral analysis is so strange that a group of astrophysicists from the University of Texas put forward a frightening hypothesis. These are not galaxies consisting of billions of stars. Each of these objects is one single, monstrous star. They are called dark stars, but the name is deceptive. They are not black. They shine, and shine incredibly brightly, 1 billion times brighter than the sun. But the source of their energy is not thermonuclear fusion. These monsters run on dark matter. According to theory, in the very early universe, the density of dark matter was much higher. And when the first gas clouds compressed, dark matter particles inside them collided and annihilated, releasing pure heat. This heat did not allow the star to shrink to normal sizes. Instead of a dense ball, something loose, cold, and gigantic was formed. Try to imagine this object. A dark star is a cloud of glowing gas that exceeds our entire solar system in size. If you placed such a star in the place of the Sun, it would swallow not only Earth and Jupiter, it would go far beyond the orbit of Pluto. At the same time, it is cold. Its surface has a temperature at which you could touch it with your hand without burning instantly. These are the ghosts of the dawn of the universe. Giants that feed on invisible matter. If James Webb confirms this hypothesis, we will have to admit that we know nothing about the life of stars. Moreover, the death of such a dark star explains another riddle. When the dark matter fuel runs out, this leviathan collapses, instantly turning into a supermassive black hole. Perhaps these monsters are the parents of those black holes that now rule galaxies. We look at these red dots in Webb's images and, perhaps, see the progenitors of all darkness in our world. Number 2. The black hole that breaks the law. In second place is an object that challenges the fundamental laws of physics that limit greed. This is a supermassive black hole found in the center of the ancient galaxy GN-Z11. We see this galaxy as it was just 400 million years after the birth of the universe. This is very early. At that time, black holes should have been small, embryonic. But James Webb looked into the heart of this galaxy and saw a monster there, the mass of which is several million times the mass of the Sun. The problem here is not the mass itself, but the speed of its accumulation. In physics, there is a concept called the Eddington limit. It is a kind of speed limit for feeding a black hole. If a hole eats matter too quickly, the matter heats up, begins to glow, and light pressure simply pushes the food away from the mouth of the black hole. The hole begins to choke. It cannot swallow more than a certain limit. But the object in the center of GN-Z11 couldn't care less about these restrictions. Calculations show that this black hole devours matter 5 times faster than the Eddington limit allows. It eats with a greed that is impossible from the point of view of classical physics. This discovery scares scientists because it destroys our models. How does this monster bypass the laws of nature? Either our laws are wrong, Or in the early universe, there were conditions for superaccretion, a feeding mode in which a hole can swallow entire star clusters without choking on radiation. This object is a predator out of control. It sucks its parent galaxy dry, killing it from the inside. Looking at this image, we see not just a distant dot. We see proof that there are growth mechanisms in space that we do not understand, and that monsters can be born adults right away, skipping childhood. This hole is an anomaly that makes us feel uncomfortable because it shows how vulnerable we are to the forces of gravity. Number 1. Universe breakers. And so we reached the top. First place. A discovery that not only surprised scientists, but caused a real existential crisis in the astronomical community. This is a find that threatens to destroy the very foundation of our picture of the world, the Big Bang Theory. In February 2023, a group of astronomers working with James Webb data published a report on 6 galaxies. They are located at a distance of more than 13 billion light-years. We see them as they were just 500 to 700 million years after the birth of the universe. According to all our textbooks, all our computer models, and everything we knew about space up to that point, at that time, the universe was an infant. In this era, space should have been filled only with a light fog of gas and the first tiny, dim proto-galaxies, which were just beginning to clumsily collide with each other. It should have been a period of slow, gradual growth. But James Webb saw not infants, he saw monsters. These 6 galaxies, which scientists immediately dubbed universe breakers, have a monstrous mass. Each of them is comparable in weight to our modern Milky Way. But it took the Milky Way 13 billion years of evolution and cannibalism to gain such weight. And these giants did it almost instantly, at the very dawn of time. For you to understand the absurdity of the situation, imagine that you came to the maternity ward of a hospital. You expect to see newborn babies there weighing 3 to 4 kilograms. But in one of the rooms, you find a 6-month-old child who weighs 100 kilograms, has a 2-meter beard, and has already defended a doctoral dissertation in nuclear physics. Your brain will refuse to believe it. You will say that this is impossible, that this is a mistake. Scientists reacted in the exact same way. This is impossible, they said. But the data was confirmed. The problem is not only in size, the problem is in efficiency. Ordinary galaxies, like ours, turn only about 10% of the available gas into stars. The rest of the gas just hangs around idly. But the universe breakers, judging by their mass, turned almost 100% of their gas into stars. They worked with an efficiency that seems physically impossible. They squeezed matter to the last drop. This discovery creates a paradox that frightens with its simplicity. In the early universe, there simply shouldn't have been so much matter to build these objects. If you add up the mass of these 6 galaxies, it may exceed the entire mass of baryonic matter that, according to our calculations, existed at that time in that volume of space at all. This is a dead end. Either James Webb found some unknown way of forming stars that works thousands of times faster than we think. Or, and this option is being discussed louder and louder, our timeline is wrong. Perhaps the universe is not 13.8 billion years old. Perhaps it is 26 billion years old. Or maybe the Big Bang, as we learned it in school, didn't happen at all. These 6 red spots in the telescope images are cracks in the wall of our knowledge. They tell us that we may be fundamentally wrong in understanding the history of our world. We built the most complex time machine in history to confirm our theories, but it destroyed them. And now we will have to write the history of the universe anew, from a clean slate. We know nothing. Our journey through James Webb's findings has come to an end. We saw the birth and death of stars. We looked into the atmospheres of hellish planets. We saw question marks in the void and galaxies that break physics. What conclusion can we draw from all this? It is simultaneously frightening and inspiring. We know nothing. For centuries, humanity sat in a dark cave, illuminating the walls with the dim candle of its knowledge. We thought we had studied this cave up and down, but then we built James Webb. This telescope became a powerful searchlight that we pointed into the darkness. And in this bright light, we saw that the cave is actually an endless, bottomless canyon full of monsters and wonders we didn't even suspect. Every new image coming from the Lagrange point does not give answers, but gives birth to hundreds of new questions. We thought the universe was simple and understandable, but it turned out to be more complex, stranger, and scarier than our brain can imagine. We are ants trying to understand the architecture of a skyscraper while crawling on the foundation. Perhaps we live in a simulation that glitches. Perhaps we are alone. Or perhaps, right now, as you watch this video, James Webb is transmitting data to Earth that will change the fate of humanity tomorrow. But one thing is for sure. The golden honeycombs of this telescope opened the door to a new era for us. An era where the main emotion of science has become not triumph, but awestruck horror before infinity. If the thought that the universe might be older and bigger than we thought scares you, then imagine an object so huge that light wouldn't have enough of a lifetime to fly through it. There is a structure 10 billion light-years in size that is officially considered impossible. If you want to know what kind of wall is in space and who could have built it, be sure to watch the video that will appear on your screen right now. There we break down the biggest error in the matrix of our world. Click and see you in the abyss.